What's up, everybody? Yeah, when I was a youngster in my 20s, I had already been to the pen, so I was like 21 when I first started getting locked down in the high power module at the LA County Jail. And at that time in the 90s, you had people on that row in certain parts of the high power modules, which is 1700, 1750. There's a bunch of rows: Able row, Baker row. They're all separate. Um, they're like cell blocks. You have Able row, B row, Baker row, Charlie row, C row, D, E, F, G. See, and on each one of those rows, you had different people that were high power cases, high profile, like O.J. Simpson for one. I used to always talk to him. He was by himself, but there was a big cell extraction and they needed bed space, so they put me on the tier because I was so young with OJ for a couple of days. And I got to really not talk to him because he would go out by himself and they would take him to the roof by himself. But whenever he like came out for a shower, he would stop by and say, "Hey, what's up, Mondo? How you doing?" And a little small talk here and there. He would tell me about his golfing experience with all these movie stars he used to play golf with. Just real short conversations, short but sweet. And I also got to meet other people there, like the because I was so young, people were curious as to why I was in a high power module. So I had people like Kevin Bianchi and his cousin. I can't. Oh, Angelo Bono, that was his name. And Kevin Bianchi, they were the Hillside Stranglers. They would stop by. They were separate because they were testifying on each other. They were. Well, the cousin Kevin was telling on Angelo after they got arrested for all those murders. So they had them separate. But I got to talk to Angelo, and one day when he was in front of my cell, I saw he had FTR right here, and I asked him, "What does that stand for?" And he said, "Frogtown Riverside." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Riverside Drive. That's a Northeast LA gang. I go, "Oh, so you were from a Mexican gang, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Italiano. I used to be from Frogtown, Riverside Drive, FTR." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm hip because I grew up in on the west side. Well, I was born on the east side, excuse me, but I grew up on the west side of LA, so I'm hip over there by the LA River, in the northeast LA part of Los Feliz was TVR, Tunerville, uh, Riverside Drive, and then you had Frogtown, Riverside, which were the rivals. So I was hip to all that because I used to go to the swimming pool when I was a kid, to the horseback ponies that they had that rode around the track, and then the train. They had a train in Griffith Park. So I was in that area. I grew up there, so I knew about it, and I said, okay. And then when I was running around in LA, right before I got busted, I was running around downtown LA, and in that area, you had a lot of, for example, Richard Ramirez. He would come and score rock from us when I was out there slinging dope on Broadway, downtown LA. We had rock stars, movie stars, lawyers, all kinds of judges that would come and buy from us, either black tar or rock cocaine. And Richard was one that used to like to buy rock. He would come and he would want to trade. He'd have a bag full of jewelry. Some of it would be custom jewelry. Some of it would be real. And he would say, "Hey, I want to trade this or that." And we would always wonder, where does he get all this stuff from? And he only knew me by Long Beach. That's it. I never told him my name. Just you just ask for Long Beach, and he would look around and see me in a donut shop downtown or in one of those little Mexican restaurants. He would come in, "Hey, Long Beach, I got this, I got that for sale, or I got money. Sell me 50 or 100." So years later, after meeting, like I said, O.J. Simpson and the Hillside Stranglers, the model photographer, serial killer, the one that was taking the ladies up there and taking photographs of them and murdering them. He was on the roll for a minute. I got to briefly talk to him, and so years later, when well, not actually that long, like maybe a year or not even that, 6 months later after I got arrested, I didn't last long downtown. I got to rub shoulders with that Richard Ramirez do for a very short period of time, like 6 months. But in those 6 months, I seen him daily on a few times a day. He used to come a lot at night because we were out there 24/7 sometimes till we couldn't stand on our feet anymore. Then we'd go lay down for an hour or two at the Alexandria Hotel or at the Cecil. And the Cecil is where that girl, they found her in the water tank. Michelle Lamb, I think her name was. It's on YouTube. That's where the Black Dahlia was last seen before she was murdered. That hotel's been there forever, and people have jumped from the 15th story to their death. There's a lot of it's like cursed, that hotel. A lot of history of serial killers and people dying, killing themselves, and what have you. That lady found in the water tank. People were tasting their water funny, so they told the maintenance. They went to the water tank and found that girl that had been missing, Michelle Lamb. Anyway, so in that period of time when I got arrested, so did Richard Ramirez right after. I read about it in the paper actually while I was in the high power module. And one day I'm on the bus and I'm up in the cages because you go up in the first 4 seats up front are cages. And that's where they put the high power inmates. So I would happen to be in the second cage. There's 4 of them, like I said. They put me here, and then they brought another dude in. They put him in the front, but I was out reading. My head was bowed, reading my paperwork that I was going to court, which was downtown LA. You go to criminal courts building on Broadway, and that's where Richard Ramirez was going, because he was doing all his stuff in the downtown area and beyond. He would go out and kill and then come back downtown and live in the hotels down there and buy all his raw cocaine down there. So he was going to criminal courts building because they I guess the people when they arrested him was in the downtown East LA downtown area, so he was going to CCB, same court I'm going to. Like I said, I got caught downtown LA slinging for a sales charge, and I got my head bowed and I hear somebody go, "Hey, Long Beach." Put my head up, and it was Richard Ramirez, and I recognized him right away from the paper and from the street, because like I said, he used to come and buy from me. And he's like, "Hey, what'd you get busted for?" and all this. So I just kept it brief with him because I really didn't want to talk to him, because I already seen in the paper that he was a weirdo. He had all kinds of rapes on old ladies and that he was accused for. So I knew he was the type of inmate that I'm not really supposed to associate with, because at the time I was an active gang member, and them guys are pretty much they're done. As soon as you got access to them, you have to move on them because they're rapists. So they fall under that category. So I kept it brief with him, and he told me he was in there. They had him for a bunch of murders. But see, like those kind of stories that I have, for example. When I was shot at the age of 14, my parents, my Chicano dad and my Colombian mom, they pitched in along with my uncles in Colombia and sent me a one-way ticket first to Colombia. I was supposed to go live there with my uncles. And when I got there, I started doing drugs. I was running around Cartagena, Colombia, with one of my cousins. Without saying any, well, his name's Rudy. I don't know whatever happened to him. I ain't seen him since the age of 14 when I was in Colombia, right after being shot. I never seen Rudy again. But anyway, he knew a lot of people, and he would take me to the slums of Cartagena, away from where I was living by the coast, in one of my cousins' hotels. They owned a big hotel on the seaside there, so I didn't have to pay for a room because it was owned by family. I was staying originally with my uncle, the politician that I'm named after, Armando Yepes. He's deceased now, rest in peace. And my mom named me after him, my Colombian mom. Anyway, so he was a politician. They had a lot of money, and so did my family members that were in Cartagena. They owned that, like I said, that tourist hotel right on the beach right there. So I would get bored, and I would tell my cousin, I want to go and get some coke. So we would go to the slums, and one day when we were there, after being there a few times scoring, I guess this gentleman caught wind, and I guess he wanted to meet me, because you have to remember, back then in the late 70s, there was no cholos from LA living in Colombia. They never even knew what a cholo was. That's something they knew very little about back then. Now everybody knows because of the internet. But back then there was no internet or anything of that nature. So one day when I went to score, I told my cousin, "What's that battleship doing right there?" It was a big battleship. It had an Italian flag. I'll never forget. And my cousin said, "Oh, there's probably some servicemen buying dope because they come here, the servicemen, and they buy dope and they take it back to Europe or to Italy and from there to wherever, you know." So I'm like, okay. And we walk in that dude's house. I had already seen him a few times. Like I said, he had one eye. He was a Colombian dude. As soon as I got there, I seen a man in a suit, but it was not a regular suit. It was a sailor suit, you know, and he had stripes and medals and all kinds of stuff. And he was in the living room, and the guy called me Primo, the guy with one eye, the connection dude from Colombia. In Cartagena, he said, "Have a seat right here. I'll be right with you." And he handed me a big bag of cocaine. He stuck a butter knife in there, and he said, "Have at it, whatever you want to do, Primo. It's all you, whatever you want right there to do while I'm conducting this matter of business that I'm conducting with this gentleman in the living room." So I already knew in my mind. I put two and two together. The battleship out there that I just seen. This guy wearing a military suit with medals and all kinds of different little trinkets on his suit. I don't know what kind of medals they were, but he was full. He had to be a high-ranking officer, and there he is doing business. But everybody knows in the cocaine business, there's a lot of big $1 million people, high-class people that are involved in that trade as well. So anyway, long story short, he lets the guy go. He takes his little military duffel bags, whatever he had in there with him. He leaves, and then he comes in. And then another dude comes in, and this dude I had never seen before. He sits down and he goes, "So you're the primo, huh? From LA, from the Longos gang, huh?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "What happened? Why'd you get shot?" Because everybody already knew that I was there to recuperate. That's why my family sent me there, to recuperate. I had just been shot. He goes, "Man, you look very bad. You're skinny. You're pale. You must have lost a lot of blood." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And he asked me, "So what are you guys doing in LA? What is all this gang business? What is it in regards to?" So I told him it's all over neighborhood territory. We want to sell our drugs. The other gang doesn't want us there. They want to take over the spot because there's a lot of money going through there. And he's like, "So who profits from?" He was asking me all these questions. And at that time, I didn't have all these tattoos. I had just like the little ESL that I had, and it's all covered up now at the time. And I had an ESL right here in Old English on my forearm, which is now covered up as well. And he's like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's ESL, Eastside Longo." And he's like, "Oh, okay. So how many people are from your gang?" And I told him, and he wanted to know what kind of drugs we sold. Long story short, we get what we're gonna get, which it was a very small amount. It was just for my consumption. My cousin didn't do it. He was just helping me so I could get my fix on. At the age of 14, I was already doing drugs real heavy. That's why I was shot. Being part of a gang and already involved in the drug trade and what have you. So when I got caught smoking weed with the students at the park, my politician uncle, the one I'm named after, got very upset because he lived in a very high-class community, and I would go to the parks, and all these university kids that were also from families of money would be down there smoking bazuco. Was the residue of the cocaine. After they process it, it rises to the top. They scrape it off, put it on foil, let it dry, and then it's like a primo, what we call primo in California, marijuana with cocaine sprinkled on top, and they smoke it. That's called bazuco. And I was down there smoking bazuco with them. And he found out because the cops busted us down there. And when I told them who my uncle was, they're like, "Oh, the representante de la Cámara," which is a politician, like a representative of the Senate. "Is your uncle, huh? You Armando?" And I was like, "Yeah, right down over here." I told them the address. So they took me. They didn't arrest me. They took me to my uncle. My uncle got pissed off and said, "You can't be here doing that. I am a politician. I'm running for the Senate right now for a second term. I can't have that nephew. I'm gonna have to send you back home." So when they sent me back home, I'm back home in the hood right there in Long Beach, and I see a bombing that had took place, and they put a wanted picture up on the TV, and it happened to be Pablo Escobar. And I'm like, "Oh," I told the homies there, "That's that dude that freaking was asking me all those questions about the gang." And that's when one of the homies goes, "That's probably why he was asking you all these questions, because he probably wanted you to work. And I go, you know what, as a matter of fact, he did. Because I go, before I left that day, which was the last time I went there, because like I said, they sent me back to California, back to the U.S., for getting caught smoking weed with bazuco with the students. My uncle Armando, rest in peace. Um, so I didn't stay in Cartagena too long. Once again, but before leaving that trap house where I was at on the coast of Cartagena, where that military man was doing a business deal, um, he did ask me. He said, "Look, I can send you cocaine in the cartons of cigarette. It's called piel roja. It's like Camel cigarettes." He goes, "I can take the tobacco out in my factory and have them put cocaine in the cigarettes and send you cases of those to the United States. You get rid of it, send me my part, you keep your part." And I thought about it, and then I said, "No, sir." He didn't tell me his name was Pablo, though. He had said it would just call me so and so, and I did. It wasn't Pablo, though. I know that for a fact. But he told me, "Well, if you change your mind, let me know through your cousin right here, and we can get the ball rolling." And I said, "All right, thank you, appreciate that." And even back then, I knew to speak with a little class, and that's why these types of people got a liking to me, because the way that I presented myself, I was a lot older for my age up here. For the age of 14, I had already been schooled on the streets since the age of 9, so I was hip to all the, I could talk the talk and walk the walk, even at that early age of 14. You go up fast in the barrio. Anyway, so the person that I was speaking to here in Vegas, he's like, "You know what? You have a one of a kind story. You don't need to be trying to deal with these B-side movie people that are wanting to take most of. They're gonna want to take most of the money if they do make a movie about your life story." He's like, "Who else has been to prison, done all that prison time? All this can be verified, like you said, Mr. Zambrano. All this can be verified. Who else has done that? Become a pro boxer, been 30 something years in and out of prison, gotten out, been a drug addict. Now you're detoxing all that way of life. Well, I've been for 14 years now, but I do take, like pain, killing methadone and what have you. And now I'm detoxing that. I'm very ill at the time right now, very sick. But I'm going to hang in there, and I'm going to detox it, and I'm going to move on. And like I said, I'm going to go back into the gym, and, the sky's the limit once I get off of that methadone. I'm down to 14 milligrams. I'll be done by next week for sure with this methadone business. Anyway, so like the guy said, he said, once you get off of it, go back to the gym, call ESPN Films, people of that nature, not these B-side movie people that are going to want to take all the money. This is your story. It's a one of a kind. Who else has become a federal firefighter, not inmate, who a federal firefighter after doing all that, being a professional boxer, drug addict, in and out of prison, a gang member, meeting all these, people in high power and these high profile inmates like O.J. Simpson, Richard Ramirez, these other dudes like the Hillside Stranglers, like Bianchi cousins, Kevin and Angelo Bono and Kevin Bianchi. That one dude that was the photographer taking pictures of the models and killing them. He said, all your years that you did in the county jail can be verified, and those people were there at your same time that you were in the LA County Jail through records. All that can be verified. You have a very one-of-a-kind story. You need to find somebody that can market your story correctly, like ESPN Films, not these B-side movie people that, are not really interested in getting your story out there. They're more interested in making a profit. And it's true, because the guy that Mr. Steve Randall said that he spoke to the guy from Villain Like Films, and he told him he wanted 90% of whatever the movie grosses. And that's going to leave, 10% for us? No, it's not enough, And like these friends here in Vegas tell me, they're like, have ESPN Films. Once you get back in the gym, once you're done detoxing, get back in there, call ESPN Films, let them know you're back in the gym. You want to maybe do a documentary of your life story, and have these people, these professionals that can market your story, do the research, find people that can verify, that they can interview. Like, for example, Jaime Garza, my ex-sparring partner, the ex-WBC bantamweight champion, who's also a professional. He's a ex-professional athlete, retired now. He can be found. He's still around. He remembers everything I did, and when I turned pro and what have you, and I was his daily sparring partner. I was in the gym with him when my receipt came in the mail saying that I was now a pro fighter. So see, everything that I've done and said can be verified either through time or through records. See, when I was going to CCB, so was Richard Ramirez. All this can be verified. Like this gentleman said, get a professional that can market your story. It's a one of a kind. From gang member, ex-convict, gangster, Colombian in the jungles of Colombia, meeting all these types of people while you were there in prison, the serial killers and all these high-profile cases that inmates that you were around. Your story is one of a kind. If marketed right, correctly, it can be a big movie because you're going to involve first responders, ex-firefighter, fighters, professional fighters because you were ex-pro, gangsters because you were ex-gangster, drug addicts, everybody, a little bit of everybody. This story people can relate to of different professions. So like my friend said, find the right people that can market your story. Wait till you're done with your detox. Once you're back in the gym, call ESPN Films, people of that nature that can do the research, the footwork to to verify your story, to research your story. Not like these B-side movie people that want to take 90% and they're not really doing the legwork. It's probably not going to go nowhere because in order to do a story right, you really need to do the footwork, the homework, and the research to really do the story correctly. So I think I'm just going to go that route. So I'll just let you people know. I'll keep in touch and we'll see what happens. Take care now.